right, so tonight we've got a special guest, Dr. Lamar Mack, vascular surgeon, husband, father, busy, busy, busy guy, but still managed to lose 22.6 pounds
Phew.
and go from 19.6 body fat percentage to 10.4% body percentage.
Amazing.
Lamar, how does that
Yeah.
sound? What's going through your mind when you hear that?
Man, that it's always a wild thing to think about. Um, the numbers especially because as much as as much as I've been trying to do stuff for years, to sit there and say 22 pounds, I mean that's a mouthful. That definitely is a mouthful. So it's always cool to hear it. We always talk about slow progress and being able to see the end of it. It's always good to hear the whole story.
So tell us about Lamar prior to the program, and then bring us to the point where like you heard about us.
Yeah, so I mean, it goes all the way back, man. So even before, even when I was a kid and teenager, I was into sports. So I played football, I wrestled, so I did all that kind of stuff. Um, you get to college and you still got that nice teenage youth in you and you're doing okay. But to me, I was never the guy, and I guess this is being a kid growing up in the 80s watching Rambo and Schwarzenegger movies. You're never the guy that was, sort of big and buff and all that, whatever. Which, okay, it is what it is, but you do what you can to try, right? So you play the sports, you go to the weight room, you do all that kind of stuff. So did all that through college, did fine, went to med school, residency, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's when it started to hit, because I would still work out, not as frequently because, and as you guys know, residency sometimes just doesn't let you go, but I would go, probably 2-3 times a week, depending upon you get the gym membership and you try to go on the days you're not on call and do all that kind of blah, blah. But it just, nothing ever really turned over. I always felt good. I would get bigger, from lifting out. Like I could get stronger and bigger, but it was always just bigger. It was never leaner or anything like that. And so that was always a little bit disappointing. So I would do that and try the back and forth and do those things. Fast forward to as an attending, came out here. I wish I had this picture. My wife has it sitting around somewhere. There was one point where I did cross the 200 mark. She's got a picture of me in some scrubs, got the big, got the belly hanging over, holding my kid, sort of got the lean on, all that kind of stuff. And so, finally we moved, start being an attendant, and still get up. I go work out and all this kind of stuff. But the things just aren't really changing. So, you go up a couple sizes in pants, you think you're buying the extra larges, the large shirts, and you just kind of like, eh. And it got to a point where I was, starting to look at my wardrobe and starting to change it. I'm getting older. And stuff just wasn't, to be perfectly honest, stuff just wasn't fitting right. I mean, I think that's the thing that really got me. It just didn't fit right. It didn't sit right. You try to turn the shirt in and it's kind of hanging over and you're like, what is going on here? And so that was probably about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. And so you look and you're doing all this kind of stuff. And what actually wound up happening was I wound up getting sick. So I wound up getting valley fever. And so I was able to get down 30 pounds, obviously unintentionally, but that's what happened. And sort of on the road back from valley fever, you pass by that one point where you're like, oh, there's the sweet spot. What am I doing? The answer is, well, you're working out, but I'm building back from being sick. And of course, keep going back up, and next, I'm back into the 190s, and for a couple years back to back, you try all the different stuff. You're like, oh, well, let's try keto this. Okay, well, that did okay, but again, not sustainable. I was telling my wife, like, I was really frustrated with keto because it's like the decisions of what you can and can't eat are just is so razor thin. it's such a razor thin decision, such a hard decision to make at that point. Like it wasn't entertaining, it wasn't fun. I didn't like it. There was, nothing out there that you could eat. You can't eat this, you can't eat, you can't do this, you can't do that. And you're sort of making these decisions, families having, wings or something, you want a couple, and it's like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. And it was really, that was really frustrating. So the whole back and forth things. And so, but it got to a point where, again, for me, it got to, okay, now I'm working out. I'm doing all, doing this stuff. I'm kind of watching what I mean, but not really. And, I'm sort of stuck. And so, like, I would always float between, sort of in the one, the lower 190s. I could get to into the 180s, but could never really push past 185. And I was tracking all the numbers and stuff, and I could just never really push past it for whatever reason. It could have been, a holiday party. It could have been I just gave up one time. All kinds of stuff. And so that's when I decided to try something different, and up pops the program, and I'm just like, oh well, I'm a doctor. I want to be fit. That makes and I think for me, what I realized amidst all that is some element of feedback. The actual coaching part of it, the feedback that goes along with it. Because to me, it's like, oh, well, you're doing this and maybe you're seeing results, but in your head, sometimes you get in your own head and you're like, is it not working fast enough? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Is it really going the way I need to be doing? Am I doing all the things? And I think, again, as to add to that, as doctors, I think we're, at least I, for something like this, I'm data driven. I'm like, there's got to be something. There's got to be a method to it. There's got to be some numbers you can calculate. There's got to be some plugins here. Maybe it does mean taking some stuff out, but what is that thing? How do you figure that out? When do you see it? When can you do it? And all those up and down sort of ideas. And so that's gotten me here, because I think a lot of those questions ultimately got answered.
So Lamar, so it sounds like you came from a background where, like you mentioned it, right? You were athletic, you played football. It wasn't like you weren't doing things, right? You were going for weightlifting, right? You did keto, you did probably other protocols that, you probably forgot that you did, right?
Oh man.
Right? So like you were doing all this, and there was a point where it just wasn't working anymore.
Right.
So you decided to reach out for help. I guess now, kind of like what the Lamar now is equipped with, what that the Lamar before wasn't equipped. Because like one other thing is that, Lamar, you lost that weight over a 4-month period, and you've been maintaining
Yeah.
and cutting for the last year.
Yeah.
So it's not just, guys, it's not just about losing the weight, because losing the weight, okay, go on keto, starve yourself, 1 meal a day, you'll lose the weight. But if you gain it all back, then what's the point? So Lamar is an example of someone who lost the weight in a very regimented way, where he maintained muscle mass over a 4-month period. And then he's been maintaining and optimizing for the last year, right? So now this is becoming permanent. So Lamar, what is it that's making this permanent for you now?
Well, it's again, I think some of the feedback on the things that you're doing right were certainly helpful. Early in the phase, when you're starting to put things back, you get some of that feedback sort of instantly. So I told my wife, like, the one thing I've learned is, at least my mortal enemy, and I know, other guys may not be, is rice. Like, I swear to God, I can have not even a handful of rice, and you see it shoot up from one day to like the very next morning. And so I was my wife, man, like, I can't, on a routine basis, like I gotta bail on the rice. Sorry, that's sort of where we are. And just, you really get into a mode, you really get into a sense of, this is working. You take the progress photos and you're like, oh, this is really working. The clothes fit differently, the walk is a little bit different. People comment on you differently. Like, that's yeah. That's certainly been a thing. And so yeah, it's like, and it's doable. It's not a pain. It's not something that is so intensive on the thought end that you're like, what am I doing? I mean, I can still enjoy myself from time to time. I mean, we have those conversations all the time, like, dude, like, what are you doing that weekend?
Yeah, because Lamar, I mean, we were talking before this call. This guy travels a lot,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Travels, he's got family functions, he's got I believe you said basketball with the kids, like you got
Mhm.
like traveling, like
Yeah.
that's life. You got to be able to maintain and make
Mhm.
progress even though you're traveling, even though that life happens. So
Yeah.
Lamar, it sounds like, the one thing is like you were made aware of things that you were not aware of previously because we
Mhm.
started to measure. We started to get that feedback from the coaches. We started to optimize, right? Lamar, he figured out it was rice. For other guys, it might be something different, right? Because it's not a one size fit all thing, but we don't know what you fit until we get the data, until you put in the work. So Lamar, throughout this journey, right?
Mhm.
I think a lot of us, right, we go through ups and downs,
Yeah.
right? Were you perfect, Lamar?
No, not by I
Hmm.
and I wouldn't even say it's past tense. I mean that's still a very much a present tense statement. I mean, there are things I do some days that I won't say disappointment. I won't say I disappoint myself, but it's like I kind of know what's about to happen. Like you know what's about to go down. It's like, well, okay, So like I said, I just got back from Hawaii, where we're eating out every day because vacation. First thing I did as soon as I got back is I'd spend an hour prepping for the rest of the week because I know what's about to go down. Um, so yeah, no, you're not. I mean, there days when you have to really sort of keep the discipline, absolutely, and it's helpful to keep. I would say keep the discipline more often than not, but the not is when you give yourself a little bit of slack and give yourself a little bit of grace. So I think that's what it does. We were talking earlier. This month's just busy, so I know there's like a whole lot of slack to give myself. But what I'm looking at really honestly is the fall coming up because that's things start to sort of get back into a regular routine. So I'm looking forward to that.
Right. One of the things, Lamar, as we've coached you through is, and this is one oft repeated phrase that we say all the time, is that it's not perfection that wins the game, right? It's the consistency, right? So all these, habits that you've learned over time, right? To be able to travel, to be able to lose the weight, maybe go up a couple of pounds, know what it caused the weight fluctuation, come back and be like within a few days you're back down. Like, right? It's about consistency, not perfection, and that's how you live the rest of your life, right? Like I
Yep.
tell people, I've been a fit pro for 30 years, 26 professionally, but I'm not perfect. People think that I'm sitting here and my macros are always on point, my protein levels are where they need to be, and I'm getting the exact sleep and all that stuff, right? But these things are never always perfect. It's just that consistency. So first of all, man, I want to congratulate you on that because you've been with us for a year and a half now. I think almost we were talking about that. Time flies quick, man. When you said that, I was like, oh yeah, it's been a while, man. You've been going strong, man. I want to
Yep.
congratulate you because you are a busy doc. You're a busy surgeon. You're a busy family man. You got kids. You got all this going on plus travel, and you've been very consistent, right? So it comes back to that same, consistency wins the game, not perfection. And consistency drives the discipline. Right. So good job there, man. You're an inspiration. I want to say that for the rest of the guys. We see you and you're one of our six-pack docs, so it's like, and we call, you're in our threshold, in our, in that achievement of, what you can be. I think, Lamar, you're in your 40s, correct?
Yeah,
Um,
45.
yeah, 45, amazing. And you can achieve this, right? Yeah, sometimes guys are like, oh yeah, I don't think I can ever get back to that, right? And you have achieved that. So that's
It's
amazing.
it's doable.
Um,
And I think the
yeah,
funny thing about that is when we had our initial discussion, that wasn't even on the plan.
right, right.
We talked about, I was like, nah, I don't necessarily need all that stuff. I'm like, I just want to get down to a nice, comfortable way, get to this particular goal, and that's what we'll do. And then yeah, just sort of everything else took off, man.
For the guys that are on, and we'll get to Q&A in a little bit. I will have to jump guys in a few minutes, but Lamar was nearly 20%, and now that he's under 10%, he's over there at 10% body fat, right? So he started off like, double the amount, and now he's down, where most of us think we can't even get down to, but it's very possible, right? If that's a goal. Now, one thing, real quick question, Lamar, like one of the big things that a lot of our guys think, like, you know what, I just need to work out more. And for the guys that are just jumping on, I need to work out more. That's the problem, right? My exercise wasn't there. As soon as I start doing that, I'll start losing weight. But you came from a discipline of already working out. We were talking about how much you were already running 5 years straight. You were doing the weight training coming in, but obviously the weight wasn't budging, right? And so one of the things that our guys seldomly think that they need to do is outwork everything else, right? And that quite isn't the way it works. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so there are a couple of sayings that stuck out in my mind, and actually coming back from vacation, it's really stuck out. The biggest one is you are what you eat. If you're doing a bunch of fatty stuff, if you're doing a bunch of processed stuff, like that's what you turn into, and we see it all the time, right? Like we've seen all of our patients metabolic syndrome X, yada yada yada. Like we see that, we see what's going on, as in my mind, as part of the food industry and all the things that we do or don't do. So that one certainly sticks out. I mean, thanks to you guys. I mean, if she were here, she'd tell you, I do probably 90% of the things I eat in a given month are probably lean meats. Game meats, chicken, like that's my jam all the time. Like I'm making separate bison steaks or this, that, and the third. And my wife's like, really? Is that what we're doing? And then the second statement I would always say is you cannot exercise a bad diet. Right. Like and just to your point, Coach Steve, like that's the thing. I think that was the thing that I was constantly missing throughout those years. Like, just like you said, it's like, oh man, all I gotta do is instead of working out for 30 minutes, work out for an hour. When an hour ain't working, now I gotta work out for 2 hours. Like that, all I gotta do is just more and more and more and more and more. And the funny thing, especially for us, because we are so busy, you don't have more and more and more and more time. Like I get home still routinely is like, man, like where'd the day go? It's already time for me to get ready to turn it in. But you find out when you start to change these things, when you start to change your eating habits, when you start to change what it is you're putting in your body, you actually work out less to get better results. It's the wildest thing. I mean, I remember there's one point we were talking like right towards that last little bit. You're like, no, stop running for an hour. Run for 25 minutes, 25 minutes. That's it. Like it's less. And it's really, really wild. So yeah, now, I mean, I still get up in the mornings and, like we talked about earlier, I'm doing half marathons. So my running, just the times they're built differently, but there are also days when I don't care if it's only 15, 20 minutes. I don't care. I may do, a couple push-ups or something like that, or just, get a quick 15-minute workout in. That's still good enough. And that still feels just as good. Matter of fact, I did that this weekend. I got up early before everybody else while I was out in Hawaii. I just ran for like 20 minutes. That was it. I was like, okay, I'm good for the day. Like
so Lamar, you're saying you can't be too busy to lose weight. You can't be
absolutely not. Absolutely not. And you shouldn't be. And you shouldn't be. I mean, I think, we're all doctors here, and so we all see the complications. You shouldn't be. Like there's too many consequences to the unhealthy life, to being overweight and all those kind of things, and we see it every day, right? We see these folks that come in and have all these problems. Most of them fall on my plate just based on being in vascular, and so I really see it. So some of the really in stage things, and to me that was the thing. I don't think I've told you guys, but one of my drivers And I don't tell a lot of people this just because it's super personal. But my father weighed 375, something like that. And he'd been big. I never knew the guy to be small. Like never knew him to be small. Like he was big the entire time, my entire life. He passed away at the age of 60, so 20 years ago, almost now. And I'm sure it was weight related. I mean, he wound up with lymphedema on one side. He wound up with some sort of cardiac issues we weren't quite sure of. I got my three boys now, and I'm like, I'm doing what I can to not let that happen, right? Because I remember how engaged I was in doing a bunch of stuff, and while he was 100% supportive, best dad I could have asked for, he was supportive. He still couldn't do this. You see that it's like, yeah, let's do this, and you worry about this and you worry about that. Especially the more you get into medicine, you're looking like, bro, like what can we, I'm worried about you. And so for me, it's like I can't see myself deviating that far down the line, even though I know it's there, right? Like I know it's in the genes, it's possible, all the things, but I don't want that to happen, mostly for the sake of my boys, also for myself, because, I like doing too much stuff. Matter of fact, I was just looking, the kids are still in Hawaii, so the wife's got them going parasailing. I was able to do that. Like, you can't do that. When you're big, like you're tired. You don't want to do it. So yeah, I mean, I like going out to the pool. I like hanging with the boys. It's still all that same stuff from college. And yeah, I really had that drive to sort of not let it perpetuate.
Thank you for sharing that, Lamar. Truly, man, you
Thanks,
are an
Lamar.
inspiration. A lot of guys on this call, me as an aspiring father, right? We're all sons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone wants to step up, be that father figure, be that example, be that husband, be that doctor, be that friend, be that we know that we can become. Okay. So thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for being an inspiration. One last question, Lamar, for those docs who know I got to do something about this. I'm 25, 30, 35 pounds overweight. I know I keep procrastinating, but I'm just too busy. I'm too busy. I don't want to do this right now. Like for those docs who are on the fence about this, right? Whatever the reason is, what do you say to those docs?
Well, look at the first thing is, again, like I said earlier, you can't be too busy. It's Does it add stuff? Yes, but there's also times when it makes life easier. Like I said, I spent maybe an hour or so prepping today, or hour and a half. But guess what? When I go into work, all I gotta do is pull out a fridge. I made a week's worth of salads. Got my shredded chicken to go with it. Boom! I get up in the morning. Boom, boom, boom. Ready to go. Takes me less than 5 minutes. So you can, you can make it the time. But to the I know I got to do it sort of crowd is, what do you how do you want to see yourself down the road? I was telling somebody, I can't remember who it was. I think it was a student. You guys remember when we were 10, 15, 20 years old, and people would always ask that question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Right. And nobody ever knew the answers to that. Like, you came up with an answer and it sounded great, but like if you're honest with yourself, you never really knew what the answer was. Like you couldn't really articulate that answer. As we get older, I think, at least for me, I am certainly much more able to articulate that answer now. Somebody asked me in 5 years, all this kind of stuff. And part of it has to do with how you feel and your health. And so if you can project that out 6 months from now, 12 months from now, then the answer is you have to start. You always have to start somewhere. We're talking about doing the running and things. The whole adage, journey of 1,000 miles, single step business. All you got to do is start. All you got to do is start. Will you backslide? Yep. 100%. I know I did. but you make up for it. You give yourself grace, and you're able to make up for it. And you know, like we talked about, is building in that consistency. Sort of, you know, you got to work that muscle, that discipline muscle. That's all it is. It's just a muscle. You got to keep working it. You got to keep working it. So you get to 10 pounds, you get to 5 pounds. I mean, and I know you guys see some of the workouts that I do. I haven't posted any good ones in a while, but that was another part of progressing through some of that stuff and being able to do things that I wasn't able to do previously. You know, we talk about pull-ups and stuff like that. I think we had the pull-up challenge. I should send a picture one of these days of when I was messing around with you guys. All that stuff, all that stuff. It's just you go from one, you know, you do one, next thing you know, you're doing 10.
Right.
And you're like, where'd it come from? Same thing with the weight. You lose a couple ounces. Next thing you know, you've lost, you know, 10 pounds. You're like, oh, you know, and it's easy. And it feels easy. It's work, but it, you know, it starts to feel easy. I'll say one of the things, because you know, we were talking before we jumped on, is I use my running app when I do all my races and even when I do my training. And it's always funny because you hear the coaches talking, and at the end, they always say, well, one, they always say, start off easy with your effort. And they build it up. And so then you start getting to the end, they're like, well, now, if you can pick up your pace, but keep it easy. They always say that. So keep the same effort, but increase the pace just a little bit. And so that's the line where those gains are. That's where those gains are. But you got to keep doing it. You got to start, because if you never start, you don't get there. But then you just keep doing it time and time again. Sometimes you won't be able to pick up the pace. Other times you will. And then you notice you get faster and faster or go longer and longer. And it gets easier. They said prepping the meals, like now, I talked to my wife Sunday afternoon. I go right to the store to get all my stuff for the week. I don't play that whole a bunch of stuff for a month. Like unless it's sort of like the bars or something like that. But for the most part, when it comes to actual meals, I do it weekly. Because I want the stuff to be fresh. Vegetables don't, you know, you guys know vegetables don't hold for much of anything. But then I know exactly what's going on. It's all packed up, it's ready to go, it's done.
Absolutely. You got to get started, guys. That's number one. But then, like Lamar said, you need a coach. You need a coach to tell you, hey, go a little further. Hey, this is what needs to be tweaked. Hey, you can do it. You're a doctor. You're a doctor. You're a high-performing doctor. You can absolutely do this. But you need that supportive community. You need that coach. And you need you, right? You need you you need to be all in. So I appreciate you, Lamar, for being on here. Is it cool if we take 10 minutes so that the guys here on the call can ask you
100%.
questions?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Lamar. Appreciate it, guys. I will have to jump. I look forward to seeing the rest of the guys in a couple of weeks, guys. I will be back. And Lamar, thank you again, man. It's been amazing seeing you, man. You know, it's been a while since we've seen each other, and we're always talking through the text and that, man. So good seeing you again, man. Appreciate you, buddy.
Absolutely.
Talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, Coach.
Okay, you too, man.
All right,
Bye-bye.
team, everybody open. You know, I know I shut off your cameras because I didn't want to mess up the recording, because we put these as testimonials to motivate other docs to take initiative. So if you want to turn on your camera, if you're in a position, please do. And then Hamza, looks like you got a question.
No question, man. Can you hear me? I'm just using new
headphones.
New running headphones.
Yeah, nice. Man. Hey, those shocks, those are aftershocks, aren't they?
Yeah.
There you go. I've been through 2 pair now. Those things are phenomenal. I love them during the summertime because I do a lot of road running. So you gotta I'm like, you gotta hear the cars.
That's it, exactly. So Lamar, man, so inspirational. I just did my personal best running. So 3.6K. Usually my knees give out after 2K. But at the 2.5K, you were saying something about you got to push yourself, you got to keep going. And I was like, all right, fine. I got to push myself. Here I am, 3.5K.
Good stuff, brother. Good stuff. Yep, just a little bit, man. It doesn't take a lot, man. It doesn't take a lot.
Very, very, very inspirational talk. I'm so shocked, man. 10%. That's just, what do you use to measure your body fat?
So I've been through a couple of different scales. I used to use the Renfro.
Oh yeah, the scale that you step on, not the 8 point, right?
No, it's just the one you step on. So it's like the travel Renfro. But then I moved. I got a Hume, the big analyzer where you got the handle.
Oh yeah, yeah. How much was the discrepancy in the reading?
So weight wise, it's probably about a pound
Yeah,
difference.
yeah, yeah.
The body fat reading is probably it's significant, probably 8% or so.
Oh wow. So Hume is telling you 10%, hey?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing was telling you 18. Okay, that's
18
really
point.
reassuring for me.
Mhm.
All right, I'm gonna get a Hume.
Yeah, the hume's been good, man. It's been and it tracks other things because what it does, I'm not sure how the Renfro does the calculations, but the Hume calculation, they'll just tell you what your weight and body fat is. So it's subcutaneous fat, they'll tell you that. They'll tell you the weight of subcutaneous fat, the weight in visceral fat. Like it does the whole and it does the whole thing. And I don't use it a lot, but it'll tell you like the area that may have more than the other. Like
Yeah,
my
I
arm carries a little bit more than the other one. It's weird.
amazing.
It's really weird. So
Chris, you got a question? Or
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't find my mute button. Awesome story, Lamar. Thanks for sharing. Couple of things, as a guy who would kill to start or to be anywhere close to a 19% body fat, I started at 305, so I don't even know what percent body fat that is. It's got to be like over 50. But as a guy who's starting there, and to get to anywhere close to that, it's just gonna. I feel like the path is so long for me. Like, what advice do you have? I mean, I'm 30 pounds down, 34 pounds down, and I'm going strong. I don't have any doubts yet, but I've been down this road before. I've lost weight multiple times, and like what kind of advice do you have in order to keep my fire?
So a couple things. Celebrate the wins, number one, bro. Like 30 pounds, that's phenomenal. Well, that's 10% body weight.
Yep.
That's phenomenal, bro. I mean, you're there. We talk to patients like that's what we tell them.
Absolutely. Yeah. You lose
Right? I mean,
10%,
that's
your
all
risk
you gotta
goes
do is lose
down by like
10%.
40.
Yeah, like we don't ask them, we don't ask a ton. So number one, definitely celebrate the wins, man. I mean, kudos to you. 30 pounds, 10%. I think that's phenomenal. And the other thing is, just be able to give yourself some grace. Certainly your pathway is a lot longer than mine. Mine has to be. And so there's a little bit more room for error, so to speak, but give yourself grace for that. I mean, you know what? My kids come and they'll get pizza or something when it's the late night or something. I still dad tax them like nobody's business. Like it's wild. Like I do all the stuff. I still nibble like it's crazy. But one, I'll celebrate the days when I get away with it. And then two, when I don't, it's like, okay, tomorrow, no nibbling. No, don't take the trail mix snack, as healthy though it may be. Like, don't take that. Take the yogurt instead, or do this, or just it's not such a bad thing. You're not a bad boy for enjoying things for small indulgences in the realm of food. Let me be clear. Let me be clear. In the realm of food, you're not a criminal for these small indulgences. And the more you do it, you'll be able to say, listen, yeah, I know exactly like Coach Steve and Mohammed says, like, you'll get into the rhythm.
Yep.
You get into the rhythm and you say, okay, now I know I got to do to get back on track. Let me not do these things for 2, 3, 4, 5 days, however long. You'll find the things that fit the model that actually work for you. Right. I think one of the things about keto is the model is so strict that it's hard to reach outside that box. And it's hard to say, oh, let me try this thing. But can you?
Yeah, there's no grace. Absolutely. And
There's zero
you break
grace.
you break your keto and you're at square one because you're eating much higher
Yeah.
calories than you are
Exactly.
when you're eating macros. Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. So, so stuff like that when all hell breaks loose. Here it's like, okay, you got the 75-25 for the most part. What does that look like for you? For
Yep.
me, for lunch, it's a salad with shredded chicken from Sprouts. And dressing up and now I look for like the low cal. We talk about all the dressing stuff. I look for low cal, low sodium dressing. And do it. Once in a while I'll get like a little bit higher calories, but you start to put all the calculations in your head of the things that you look for, and everybody's different. So for me,
I love hot sauce, so I've been looking for lower. I'm just trying to find
hot
lower
sauce,
sodium.
bro. Hot sauce is a cheat code.
Yeah, I know. I put it on everything. It's the only thing that makes the chicken. I look forward to the chicken breast as long as I can douse it in hot sauce.
You can.
But I'm looking for the low sodium hot sauce because some of it's got a little bit of sodium in it.
Some of it does, yeah. But like I get like Texas Pete, it like hot sauce is because it's 0 calorie, 0 carbs. The sodium is the only thing about it. Hot sauce is such a cheat code.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's the only thing that makes me sane.
But one of my formulas though, when I look for stuff, is I try to get things that have a higher total protein count than a higher total carb count.
Yeah.
Whether it's keto or not, whether it's low carb, gluten free, whatever. I try to stick with higher protein than total carbs, and usually that works out. I haven't mastered the fat just yet. So sort of whatever calculation that is, just because things tend to wind up with higher fat content. So I'm still working on that part, and a lot of that's just my kids love steak, and so that tends to be what rolls through the door. When I don't have my leaner meats, so it's like, okay, well, here we are.
Lamar,
I got one other question for you.
When I was at Costco and I picked these up, I thought about you.
You got the big box. I saw
the
big box. We were in Hawaii, and I didn't get it.
Yeah,
the coconut one is really good, guys. Get the coconut one.
Yeah. No, I use a cheat code too. That's a really good cheat code.
I got one more question for you, Lamar, and this is more about, I'm not a surgeon, but I'm a pediatric cardiologist, so I work hand in hand with surgeons, right? So my days start really early because the surgeons are in the operating room all day. So my day starts at anywhere from 6 to 7 every morning, and I'm there every day till 6. And right now, I try to coach my kids' football team. It's really hard because the time kills me, right? But it's every day 6 to 8. And every day through the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 6 to 8. So I feel like my candle is burning a little bit on both sides. I'm trying to wake up a half hour or to get my half-hour movement in. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get everything else in. I know how busy you are. You have kids. I'm sure you have the same challenges. Something's got to give, right? Like how do you get your stuff in?
Man, it's a lot of that. So my mornings typically start around 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Yep.
And then, like I said, part of me is I'll have the prep ready. So like I put it all away, but I usually prep a lot of stuff during on the weekend, Sunday or Saturday.
Yep, me too.
I have a bunch of free time, so I'll do that and it's ready to go. So I save my time for that. Like the IQ bars, I try to find little hacks. Obviously, they got to be, Coach Steve approved, but I try to find these little hacks along the way that make things easier to do in the transport. And so I'll do that. Like if I'm cooking some meat to take with me, I'll cook maybe a pound or two, like the pre-cubed chicken things at wherever Sprouts or wherever your grocery stores. I'll get like 2 packs of those, season them all up, and then just cook the whole pound. So now you've got 2 or 3 different servings worth. I think it's really just about finding those hacks. And then sometimes when I get home, there are days when it just turns into a late day and it sucks. Because you have to, cook the meat. Like if I'm doing a bison steak and I get home at 8 o'clock, it's going to be 9 before
Yeah, I just ate. So yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So, but if you're getting but also think about it this way, because this is something I had to change. with my mindset is, if I'm getting my workout in the morning, then I'm good the rest of the day.
Yep.
Right. So when I get home, I don't have to worry about, oh, maybe I have to do these 10 extra push. No. You did it earlier. You're good. So now you can sort of take that time and sort of and develop that. And like I said, the other thing is, if you're out a bunch, try to find the hacks that transport well. I think that's the easiest thing. I always carry my lunchbox. Shoot, it's about the strap broke. I got to get a new one now. But I pack it every morning.
Me too. Oh, I pack it every night. I'm gonna do that before I go to bed right now. Yep.
Protein shakes. That's another cheat code. And I don't know about you, but I do mine. So my routine in the mornings, I get up, I have a pre-workout thing that I always do. So it's like I use Pro Mix. So they've got a gut debloat thing, and then the pre-workout stuff. And I use the caffeine-free version. Just because I like coffee, so I try to cut back on as much as I can. So I do that, do my whole workout thing. As soon as I get done with the workout, protein shake, low calorie. I use non-dairy milk. So right now I'm using flaxseed. I used to use almond milk with the protein. 8 grams versus 2 isn't a big number, but it's what it is. And that's the other thing. All these things that say protein, and I've gone through all of them. They say, oh, protein this and protein that. Really look at it, because like extra protein means like 8 grams. You're like, yeah, no. Like all these protein cookies and protein brownies and all that crap. It's like 25 grams of carbs, like 8 grams of protein. I'm like, seriously, boys? Like, I know it's not the one that Oreos have, but y'all can do better.
Also, look at this too, guys. When they put 2 nutritional labels and it says 20 grams of protein, but you tend to look at the one on the left, which is just 1 serving, but it's actually 20 grams in the whole case, right? Which comes with many more calories, many more carbs. So great point, Lamar. Great point.
Label reading is important, man. Holy
Exactly. All right, guys. I know it's a work day tomorrow. I appreciate you, Lamar, for hopping on and giving us some tips. Appreciate all you guys hopping on. Guys, Lamar's part of the community. We're in the school, right? We're a community. Post in school, message Lamar. You know, if you got a question, tag him in a post. You know, he'll hop in when he can, right? And vice versa. Okay, so let's continue to support one another. And yeah, man. Hope you all are well. Nice to see you all, and I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Take
Have a
care.
good night.
guys.
Good, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you
Good
very
night.
much, man. Thanks.
Absolutely, 100%. Anytime.
Thanks, Lamar. Assalamu alaikum, bro.
See ya,
Hey,
Mohammed.
Kristen.
What's up, Jose?